Possibly the biggest challenge in e-invoicing today is keeping up with constant change. Regulations are evolving continuously with new schemas, updated validation rules, and new government platforms introduced several times a year. For companies operating across multiple countries, this can mean dozens of compliance updates every year. Plus, the notice periods are often super short. As a result, teams end up reacting instead of planning ahead. In many cases, changes only become visible when invoices start failing, which leads to delays, manual rework, and operational disruption. If you want to solve this challenge, you first need to make sure that you have good visibility of all relevant upcoming mandates and rule changes. This can be handled in-house. However, this approach is risky and it requires a lot of time and technical expertise. For businesses lacking internal resources or e-invoicing expertise, a far more reliable and future-proof option is to hand such tasks to a fully managed e-invoicing provider. The larger your business and the more countries you do business in, the more this makes sense. Another major challenge when it comes to e-invoicing is integration. Most organizations run multiple ERP systems and each of them can produce data in different formats. At the same time, every country has its own requirements, formats, and exchange models. This creates a fragmented environment where everything needs to be mapped and connected correctly. As more systems and countries are added, the complexity increases. Integration quickly becomes an ongoing task that requires continuous adjustments and coordination. Solving this challenge requires centralizing your integration approach rather than building separate connections for each system or country. If you introduce a standardized layer for format transformation and communication, you'll reduce a lot of that complexity. It also helps to avoid hard-coded setups so you can adapt more easily when requirements change, which I'm sure you know by now happens very often. Data quality plays a critical role in e-invoicing. Even small inconsistencies can lead to invoice rejection. Typical issues include incomplete master data, incorrect tax mappings, and mismatches between systems. Globally, these kinds of data problems are the main reasons invoices fail validation. Unfortunately, when data accuracy is poor, things start to go downhill pretty fast. Customers and suppliers become frustrated, payments get delayed, and internal teams have to spend their time fixing things manually. While there isn't really a quick fix and it all comes down to data accuracy, there are things you can do to improve it. A good start is to define ownership of your master data and put governance processes in place. It also helps to validate your data before invoices are sent so you can catch issues early. Some companies use real-time validation tools to support this. The more consistent your data is, the fewer disruptions you'll see in your invoicing processes. Another challenge you see quite often is that e-invoicing doesn't really have a clear owner. For a lot of companies, it sits somewhere between different departments. So tax looks at requirements, IT handles the systems, finance focuses on the payment, and procurement is involved on the supplier side. The problem is, with this kind of arrangement, no one really looks at the whole picture. So when something changes or an issue comes up, it's not always obvious who should take the lead. In this situation, decisions take longer and small issues can turn into bigger ones simply because no one feels fully responsible. To solve this problem, you need to make ownership clear. This might mean assigning one team or one person to coordinate everything, or at least make sure responsibilities are properly defined across tax, IT, and finance. It also helps to have regular check-ins between these teams, especially when new requirements come in. Once that structure is in place, things tend to move much faster because everyone knows who's doing what. The fifth and final challenge I want to mention is one that often gets overlooked, and that's ongoing maintenance. E-invoicing requires continuous attention as regulations and technical requirements evolve. Each change triggers a sequence of updates, testing, deployment, monitoring, and optimization. Over time, maintaining compliance and system stability requires consistent effort and oversight. Solving this challenge is really about being realistic and aware of the extent of work that's required to maintain your solution. Whether you handle tasks in-house or pass them over to a provider, ongoing effort will be necessary if your solution is going to stay compliant. Think about how you're going to handle updates, testing, and monitoring long-term. If that's planned properly, it will take a lot of pressure off your team later on.